Look, whatever you heard I said is probably a lot worse.
I heard you said poop.
Yeah, I said poop. Twice.
Nice.
Yet again, this is every Nickelodeon movie reviewed in order of release. It's Juice and Jam time.
10 long years is quite a price to pay.
That's enough, Missy.
Why would we damage you?
We made you.
Welcome to the tragic universe that is my sad life.
She's so lovely, she's so lovely.
This Nickelodeon movie is titled Angus, Tongs, and Perfect Snogging. What? That radiates the same energy as Scrimmy Bringus and the Crummy Springus. No, this title isn't from an alien language, but it might as well be, because it's from the UK, otherwise known as the PAL region.
Oh, flipper and flippin' hell.
PAL region means getting DVD footage of this is a pain, as this theatrical film never released in America beyond maybe a Nick at Night airing, supposedly. It's Nick's first PG-13 film about the life of a normal high schooler named Georgia Nicholson. The editing is abrupt and feels slightly above TV grade, while the gross comedy when considering this main actress is 16 just feels like... Oh, sadly. God, no, but maybe I'm just being a prude. There's raunchy comedies starring underage guys. Girls can like crude humor too, I guess. This is one of those movies that I don't feel is for me, but I can see someone into teen dramas big into this. Though there are times where I did get invested into the angst, like damn, why is everyone in high school such an asshole? Y'all got 4 years, none of this matters. In this movie, there's gossip, dances, or friend zoning this weirdo.
I have to kiss you.
Maybe call the cops on that one. Though, considering UK language, I don't think the Brits call it the friend zone. I think they call it the PAL region.
Ah, cringy.
So Angus is based on a series of young adult novels titled... Oh, I'm sorry. Let me read this in the proper accent. Angus Tongs and full frontal snogging. It's okay, I'm wearing really big knickers. Dancing in my nudie pants. Levoy's mini trousers thing going up. Jesus Christ, these are the most aggressively British titles I've ever heard. Simply by reading these out loud, I feel as though I'm being mugged by a gang of rugby players in a cobblestone alleyway behind a pub. Crap like this makes me thankful we won the Revolutionary War. Angus, Thongs, and Perfect Snogging is fine, but if you're into teen dramas, I think you'll get more enjoyment out of this than I did. It's okay.
It's kind of lesbian-y. Well, you asked me what it was like to be felt up.
Hey, let's move on to the next film, please God.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you to the Hotel for Dogs.
Every time I look at you, you always look so beautiful.
It's a hotel for dogs from 2008. You got these foster kids who modified an abandoned building to be a sanctuary for dogs, a hotel if you will. And then there's some teen angst or whatever. It's based on a book. This is a movie that manages to be so plain yet have such an interesting cast and crew. You look at the actors and say, oh, it's that guy from Wizards of Waverly. It's Penny Proud's voice. It's Don Cheadle? How do you agree to this crap?
I just nod and I go, mm-hmm. It works wonders.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to be fair, this ain't the most dangerous hotel he stayed at. Also, the script was written by the two creators of Kim Possible and a third guy who didn't do Kim Possible. Ignoring the wannabe rockstar foster parents who feel like Kim Possible villains, hardly anything else here has a fun dynamic that cartoon had. Could be a Dougal situation like where cartoonist Butch Hartman wrote on that film, but his stuff was mostly unused. Maybe? Hotel for Dogs is very inventive with its camera work and set design. You got all these wacky contraptions used to care for the animals, stuff made from whatever's lying around. It's definitely a highlight despite being utterly disgusting at times. That's fun, but the entire film is just so generic. With the premise, it's more about the kids and their personal problems while the dogs are set dressing. This is about giving abandoned pets a better home, right? Yet it feels like there's almost no scenes of the rescue part. Like, shouldn't there be more focus on them saving dogs, trying to get their trust, searching for them in the streets, bonding? All that is sidestepped for the human issues taking up the runtime. That's until both cops and a SWAT team raid the hotel to advance the plot. Quick, hide behind the crawl space in the walls.
Okay, stop breathing.
Clear the walls.
And as well shot as Hotel for Dogs is, they really abuse the lighting. Every single thing is glowing as if this was rendered in Unreal Engine 3. Look at the bloom, it's crazy. Turn it down, Don Cheadle here is about to melt. Hotel for Dogs, it's boring.
I want my Googa! I want my Googa!
He wasn't always this way.
2009's Imagine That. Imagine watching a better movie. It's one of those dad's always too busy for his kids stories starring Eddie Murphy and Zoe from Blackish as his daughter. So the gimmick here is that the girl has a magic blanket called the Googa. The Googa predicts the best business deals by consulting the girl's omniscient imaginary creatures that can predict the future. Hell yeah, overthrow Wall Street. To get those predictions, the duo play make pretend, acting out for long, uninterrupted moments of time.
Stop the dragon, please let me pass. Stop the dragon, please let me pass.
This is half the movie. Hey, isn't this the same plot as that one Adam Sandler film? Yeah, Bedtime Stories released a year prior. Adam was able to predict business deals thanks to his kids' dreams. Except with that movie, they have the money to visually show those dreams in fantasy locations. Meanwhile, with Eddie's movie, we all just gotta imagine that they have a budget. What is this, the Broadway play of Elephant Man starring James Franco? I came to see a freak show and they gave me Franco and zero prosthetics. Good show, Tobey Maguire was in the audience.
Here you go. Here's, what's that, Barney?
That's not Steve. Get that trash out of my face.
Did you see that?
Anyway, this movie is totally boring and Eddie Murphy knew it was doomed to fail from the start. Probably took it for a quick paycheck before he vanished from acting. But the weirdest inclusion is Thomas Hayden Church from Sideways and Spider-Man 3. He's a white actor playing a rival businessman who's like a blatant Native American stereotype. And I mean blatant.
Sometimes the best spear is the one you don't throw.
And I fucking mean blatant.
I'm gonna scalp you.
You're gonna scout me.
Like his only personality trait is being native.
You're going on a vision quest. Your new tribal name? Red Bull.
It's absolutely odd this kids movie past 1980 was doing that, but I guess it's okay because at the very end someone tells them, hey, stop that. You're like 1/32nd Native American.
Frankly, you are an offense to true Native Americans, and if you have nothing better to offer...
All right. Johnny Whitefeather can see which way this wind's blowing.
Such a strange case of lampshading, like they spent this whole kids movie relying on stereotypes only to say JK at the end, like, I don't think that gives you a free pass. Thank God he didn't paint his skin or anything.
And how?
Maybe the joke is that he looks white, which I'm fairly sure there's natives with light skin, so that's a bit off. Now, this character's ethnicity actually plays a part in this film, because as it turns out, the girl... somehow, it's not explained how exactly, she turned her blanket into a wakayabe.
Say that again,
Wakayabe. That's how you access a higher eye. My people believe it's the way to achieve closeness to the Great Spirit.
So Thomas Hayden Church gets his own kid hopped up on Red Bull to play with their own wakayabe. Next time we all raid the stock market, I know exactly what to do.
Halicom Investments.
Halicom Investments.
Sell it!
Sell?
Sell it.
Sell it!
Sell it's not
Write that down. Come on.
Mappa Cooper! Mappa Cooper! How you doing, Mappa Cooper? Got some questions for you. One quick question.
It's beautiful.
Can you hear? Are you whispering?
Warm sky.
If you're whispering, I can't hear. Talk to me, louder.
What the hell is this movie? Honestly, I wish the rest of the film was this insane to make up for how mostly dull it is. Imagine that as a waste of my damn time, but you know who cameos here?
Cookies and cakes and scones. You like scones?
Scones?
It's Bobby Says!
Get this food!
We'll be back to review Last Airbender after these messages. Surfshark VPN, yes sir, the sponsor of tonight's video. What's a VPN? It's great, it changes your internet region and protects your privacy. You got Netflix, just switch regions and bam, you can see what other countries have on their Netflix. It's that easy. How about something to keep you safe, especially on public Wi-Fi? Nothing can stop you. Use the code RebelTaxi to get 83% off plus 3 extra months. Don't like that? You got a 30-day money-back guarantee. Oh, what? You got an incognito window on your browser? Wow, that's completely useless. Surfshark VPN, it's got clean web. This thing will block malicious ads, trackers, and malware. Don't trust an internet provider, trust Surfshark VPN. Use the code RebelTaxi to get 83% off plus 3 extra months. You got a 30-day money-back guarantee. VPN.
Now back to Avatar, The Last Airbender. This guy breaks a lot of wind. It's silent, but deadly.
We're here with some of the younger first fans for The Last Airbender, and we'll start with the youngest. What do you think?
It sucked.
Look, you have to admit, before the live-action Last Airbender was coming out, all the trailers, the sets, the costumes, it looked good. It had potential to be a great adaptation of the animated series, the one about the world where people can manipulate elements and the only guy who can bend air is the savior. While I was a casual fan of the show, I could never follow its premieres and mostly watched Cartoon Network at the time, but I still went to see Last Airbender in theaters, and yep, that was pretty bad.
I should have gone and seen Twilight.
But that was back in 2010, and I've changed my taste a lot, got more open-minded, and in retrospect, you know what? When you look at the movie as its own thing, yeah, it's still pretty awful. It was so awful that it wasn't even nominated for Best Film at the Kids' Choice Awards. At that point, you know you failed as a Nickelodeon production. The characters have no personality, almost no characterization. They could have easily have been dubbed in as text-to-speech voices.
Who are you?
What's your name?
I don't need to tell you anything.
Firebender!
The primary issue is that they condensed all of season 1, all 20 episodes, about 400 minutes of TV, into a 90-minute film. Why 90 minutes? That's about as short as a theatrical film can be. Well, here's what happened. A few months prior to the release, James Cameron's Avatar came out, made a bunch of money, and helped make 3D a big selling point. 3D movies, 3D TVs, 3D compatible games, 3DS. Several movies near completion at the time shoehorned 3D in last minute. Last Airbender was no different. The problem was, converting a 2D shot film to 3D takes time, and the longer the film is, the longer it'll take. Paramount didn't want to lose that primo 4th of July weekend release date, so the solution? Cut 30 whole minutes out of the film so the 3D conversion would be finished in time. Great freaking idea!
We presented ourselves to the royal court. My brother and the princess became friends right away. Ong showed them he was the last airbender and was accepted to train with the master.
Really, you have scenes where the narrator fast forwards over what we should be seeing on screen. It really feels like we're missing important things like character development. The narrator tells us, hey, this girl you just met in the second half, that's the love interest, and it's important. Please care. Forgive me for this, but geez, that dick-shaped haircut, that is not appropriate. Let's cover that up. Then again, the Avatar animated series is a tribute to Japanese anime, so let's pay the proper tribute. Much better.
It was bad. Don't go see it. I want to tear down M. Night Shyamalan.
I'd say release the Shyamalan cut and give us the full 30 minutes back, but that won't save the acting and terrible action. Like, why did they do this long, uncut tracking shot for? It's so full of dead air and the actors waiting for their line like a take-turns RPG.
Are you an airbender boy?
Leave him alone!
You see that shit? Every single thing went wrong with many controversies, like how they casted mostly white actors for the main stars of this Asian-influenced martial arts series, and if your skin isn't light enough, you're only allowed to be the villains here, I guess. Like Zuko, played by Dev Patel from Slumdog Millionaire.
I'm sorry about this film. It's a little bit shit, wasn't it?
And for no reason, they changed the pronunciation. Ang, Ung, Avatar, Avatar, but apparently the excuse was to be more respectful to how these cultures pronounce it. Wow, nice. Hey, you know what would be even more respectful? Casting people of those cultures. The main heroes are whites only, but I'm sure the minority actors you turned down appreciate you pronouncing these words correctly.
Katara, do not hit that spear!
I feel so sorry for the rest of the actors who just vanished from acting. Like, some of them have done way better movies, so it's probably just misguided direction asking them to be more stoic and serious. Direction from the studio and not Shyamalan himself, possibly. It's a grand, big-budget epic. That's what it's gotta be like. This ain't no cartoon. It can't be too silly. Maybe that was the idea?
And just so can I point out, we have a line of people that I don't think, did any of you guys like the movie? No! Yeah, they didn't like it.
Despite how hated the movie was, it actually did pretty well financially. But just because people paid to see it doesn't mean they'll pay for a sequel, so the studio realized a part 2 was a bad idea. And while M. Night Shyamalan was defensive about this movie during press interviews at the time, which he's selling a product, he can't diss on it, years later he admitted he regretted doing those big budget films and seems to be doing way better on smaller stuff. That's good, but there's always talk of more live-action remakes of Aang's storyline, and it's like, why? You got a whole universe here. Tell someone else's story in another timeline. It doesn't have to be an Avatar. There's so much more you can do with this franchise than just sticking to the same old characters. I'd love to see that instead.
What happens at the end of season 3? That's sweet. That is gonna be sweet.
Who am I? I could be anyone. Name's Rango.
Oh, thank God, a good movie, a freaking great one. Now, there's two things Hollywood doesn't care about: westerns and animated films that aren't clean and friendly. Yet here's both those elements together in a wide-release CG movie. It's Rango from 2011. I guess when you're the director of the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, you got the money and power for anything, even this western tribute about the lizard with no name. That name being Rango. Played by Johnny Depp, Rango is an aspiring actor who ends up in a town pretending to be a sheriff and has to save the day.
All right, now listen. I'm gonna give you fellas one last chance to reconsider.
Just like with Surf's Up, the way the film was made was by actors performing the film like a stage play, props and costumes included to get into character. Animators reference this and reinterpret that into animation. Jokingly, the crew call it not motion capture, but emotion capture. If this really was motion capture, like Polar Express with all the suits, it just would not have that wild zaniness, the kind only keyframe animation can do. Animation fans usually criticize any Hollywood cartoons for casting live-action stars rather than experienced voice actors, but Rango's unique format is a great way to get the most out of these on-screen performers' abilities. What makes their acting even better is when they're locked in the studio overnight with no food or water. Even with the intentionally dusty color palette, there's just so much energy. They really keep you engaged with all these strange, quirky characters.
I'm unhappy with the cup size. I said to Gore, I think Beans needs much bigger breasts. It's very important. It's in my contract that all my characters have very large breasts.
As a Western, you got booze, guns, smoking, all that grit in this PG movie, which, because of all the tobacco, it has enacted the wrath of Breathe, California. Breathe? Breath? Breathe? I don't know how that's spelled. They're an activist group who petitioned to make Rango in any movie or show with smoking R-rated. These activists have counted over 60 instances of smoking in Rango, rivaling even 101 Dalmatians. In response to the outrage, Paramount Studios did nothing. Anyway, in my review of Spirit by DreamWorks' good movie, I said I wanted Hans Zimmer to do more Western music, and here it is. Visually, Rango strikes the right balance of being realistic, but stylized. I call it taxidermy punk. It just looks like those trinkets you'd find at a truck stop in the middle of nowhere. Standing still, you can just tell how these characters would act. Everybody just sounds like how you think they would and bounce off each other so well. While the premise of a nobody pretending to be a hero in a new town is common in animation, Rango has such a bizarre sense of humor that there's just no other film like this. The often flat camera placement that drags on to perfect timing adds so much to the comedy. This movie just does it all, including action. Compared to other animated movies at the time, Rango didn't make as much money, but to the studio, it was still a success. Great reviews, word of mouth, one of the few to beat Pixar and Disney at the Academy Awards. The box office was fine, but this is such an unconventional film that it's a miracle it wasn't a Titan AE level bomb with an uncanny valley look. It was such a hit that Paramount created their own animation studio, one that gave us equally revered classics like Sherlock Gnomes and Wonder Park. Well, you made a good first impression. I guess Johnny Depp's name helped in the marketing. That and, of course, Rango, the world.
Join thousands of other fans in the ultimate online adventure in Rango, the world.
You're asking, what is this? Yeah, it's Club Penguin, but a Rango. What a specific thing. Imagine a reality where you can make your own Rango Sona. That's the world I want to live in, but sadly, that site is no more. At least we'll always have Rango.
Let's hear it for Rango!
And so the stranger basks in the adulation of his new friends, sinking deeper into the guacamole of his own deception.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Bruce, the personal tattoo artist for Ang, the Avatar. Whether it's for a big movie or some red carpet stuff, or even going out with his pals, I'm his guy.
Dude, can you just watch what you're doing?
At first I was a little nervous, but he was great. He even taught me a little airbender, which was pretty cool, until I airbent over and crushed Pete. No hard feelings, Pete, huh?
Nicktoons, big stars, animated.
Dude, I wanted a skull.
Rats! Folks still don't believe in elves. I'll prove we exist.